Been in this house now for 52 years.
Well, we were back in here, in 7 months from the time the other one burned.
So it'll be 52 years then. Well, this house has a lot of history in it.
We saw a lot of bad times, but not any worse than it. I never felt bad about not having things. Never felt bad because nobody else had anything that we knew of. It was just bad times, and we had more fun, I think, than our kids did. Like they, right across the street from us, almost just down the house or so, there was a great big gravel pile. They were, fixing roads and things. We had barrel stays and skied down that thing, and our house sloped the yard, and it had water in the summer and ice in the winter. And boy, we had all the kids there, We had a metal boat that we could pedal around in the summer, and I remember we took Margaret and Catherine in that metal boat. It had a box in the middle, and tipped it on purpose. They had their Easter shoes and everything on. And it was full of tadpoles. We used to catch those big tadpoles, that turn into frogs, We had a playhouse back there. And there was an old feeder, they called it, that they dumped things in. It was over 2 houses from us. We used to find the best things over there and make a house out of that, out of that old pub. Well, it was just really a shed, I guess, but we'd put curtains at the windows and fix it all up with everything that we'd find. But when we were growing up, we didn't have anything like when we were kids at all. But we never paid any attention to it because nobody else had anything.
Where did you do the ice skating and the carnation cans?
In our backyard.
Really? It froze over that
Yeah,
much?
oh yeah, sure. On Guyan Street where we lived. And in the summer, like I said, we had this metal boat. I don't know where we got it. And it had a box in the middle. It was like a cement box, I guess. And boy, you could pedal all over around that. It had a lot of fun.
About the Great Depression.
Well, we were just like everybody else.
Did you know it was a lot worse when it was happening than before?
We never thought anything of it because everybody was in the same boat. We never had any. My mother had 5 kids to raise herself, and she sewed in all the dress shops, and she would make $20 a week. And no men were making any money. They weren't making it $20 or nothing. There weren't any jobs. And everybody was on relief, but we weren't. We weren't on relief. But a lot of our neighbors would get cornmeal and all different things from relief. And they didn't want it. They'd give it to us because we had 5 kids, So we did get some of the stuff, but not from the government. My mother always worked, so we could never get that.
So she worked when you and your sisters were in school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My brother Harold went to kindergarten.
Oh, and brothers, too.
Yeah, my brother Harold went to kindergarten 2 years because there wasn't anybody to watch him.
Mm-hmm. And then the other brother's John.
Yeah.
So what's the order in age?
Gwen, and then me, and then Edmay, and then John, and his twin, and then Harold. And there's just about 2 years in between all.
And the twin died at birth?
3 months old.
That was a girl? And what was her name?
Jean.
How did she die?
Just found her dead in bed.
Crib death.
Who knows, maybe they didn't have enough to eat or something. How do I know? They lived on a farm and there wasn't any money.
And where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up?
All in Ottawa?
Well, there's a little town right 3 miles up here, Dayton. my grandfather, my mother's father, rented us a house there. And my mother baked things and
Bowers?
sold them, yeah.
John and Louise Bowers.
We lived there with them for a while. My father just took off and left us. We didn't know what happened to him. We thought he was dead for 20 years.
And that was
Just-
Harlan Baker.
Just like Hiram.
Hiram Baker.
Just like Rip Van Winkle, 20 years, you know, we thought he was dead.
How old were you when he took off?
Gwen was 8 and she was the oldest.
And what?
And there were 5 of us.
How much younger are you than Gwen?
2 years. Growing up, we never saw our grandparents, Baker. When we were in high school, they invited us over for a Christmas dinner. Just us kids. We were in high school, and oh, we had such a good time. That was such a beautiful house to us, you know, and they had everything. And they rolled back carpets in the big living room one end and danced with my Aunt Florence and that, and she had the best time. She had the best time and everything. They had a little present for each of us, you know, like a necklace or something. And we thought it was wonderful, and Harold was small. I don't know how old he was, maybe 6 or something like that. And anyway, he got up from the table and ran around the house so he could eat more, and I thought that was, oh.
So you're...
And my brothers had their first suits, and they were knicker pants then.
You know, I think I have a picture of them in their knickers.
Yeah, and the only suit they ever owned, you know, well, that he ever owned because until he died.
Now, your brother Harold died in World War II.
At Guadalcanal.
That was pretty early in the
At
war.
Henderson Field. He joined the Marines with 2 of his friends from Ottawa right after war was declared.
Right after
Pearl Harbor. My mother drove out to our house with him to say goodbye, and my mother was crying. We didn't know what she was crying for, you know. We'd never seen war, didn't know what it was or anything. Of course, she had. See, when I was born, there was war.
World War I.
Yeah. So anyway, they went in the Marines, and they went to California, and Harold said that they could call one time and he would pay for it. And he didn't. That's the only time that we talked, that my mother and them talked to him. And he never came home.